Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Build, live from my quarantine cell here at Oak Hill Works. How are we all doing this evening? I hope you are well. Might only be on for half an hour or so, just come home from Motherwell, Scotland. Fair enough, Richard. I must say I wasn't expecting, well, anyone from up your way to be here yet. I know Linny isn't around yet. I hope you had a good weekend at Model Rail Scotland. I saw some pictures of your club layout go up on Facebook yesterday, which was nice to see. Yes, the chatbot is live, James. Thank you for the test. Much appreciated. So yes, we have a... Remember to smash that like button, hit subscribe, show support for our wonderful host. Thank you, Alex. That is very much appreciated. So yes, to address my quarantine cell thing that I said a second ago, shortness of breath, bad throat, these symptoms, possible contact, just a precaution. Luke testing the new command. It's very good. May have spent a little too much. Oh, that's the whole point of exhibitions, Richard, is to spend too much. It's very much the point of those exhibitions. I'd be disappointed if I went to one and didn't spend too much. Ironically, it was Linny that made me spend too much at the last one I went to, because they were there. So yes, we haven't pretty much finished D-Class. For those that were here last week, we did finish it. We knocked a few bits off, which I've put in a container, which is inside a bag, to really keep it safe. So we need to get those back on. We need to fill the gap between the splashers and the boiler. You can see daylight now, so daylight through there, so that needs to go. Which we will fill that with solder, because, you know, unlike filler, solder won't crack and stuff. So that is the aim for there. Get that done, and then we can get some paint on it. And then I have a large collection of other kits to look at whilst we are waiting for the paint to dry. Because I know my streams don't move too fast sometimes, but hopefully they're more entertaining than watching paint dry. And at this point, I just want to remind everyone, hydration is important. Yes, I get to. Hello, TWR Modeler, how are you? I hope you are well. James approves of paint. I also approve of paint, James. I've been really looking forward to it so that we can do the paint. So, there we go. Well, it disconnects just fine from my little bit of soldered wire. It's absolutely fantastic. So we want this screwdriver so that we can remove the chassis. But I've unscrewed. I know I've unscrewed that too much. Let's not even pretend I haven't. One day I'll remember that this only needs a couple of twists so that it slides out and it isn't actually screwed in properly. That day is clearly not today. Doing very well. Excellent. Glad to hear it. But I've even splashed out and got some new white and almost black paint, because, you know, occasionally I have to spend money. Right, so there's our parts. Two brake shoes and a tiny little boiler thing. Becca did send me a list of what everything was. I can't remember what they were. That was a week ago. I've slept since then. So the first thing we need to do for reattaching those is to get the soldering iron on. Some flux, the real solder can go back. And we want the soldering block and the white metal solder. So it's this one here for the boiler plug on the side. And it is both brake shoes on this side of the chassis. I really did a great job there. It's the model Loco Drive or Tender Drive. It will be Loco Drive. So there's our 4 driving wheels. There's our motor. Just like that. And that sits nicely inside the body. God, that shows quite well actually, doesn't it? I like that angle. Finally, an angle I like without having to adjust it. Thank you for the links there as well, Alex. It is very much appreciated. So, I've lost my pin replacement. This is what happens when you're using the thing that normally holds it as a weight. We'll use one of these. There we go. That'll work to replace the pin. Better than Hornby Tender Drive. Everything's better than Hornby Tender Drive. So we'll just get a bit of solder on there. A bit of flux even. Can't have too much flux. We'll get our part. Going to put a tiny bit of flux on that as well. Now there's actually enough solder there that I might not need any more. There we go. See, the flux just helps us be a little bit more sticky. So there is that back on. Giving the Loco its ear back. And so we also have the brake shoes for this side, both of which have snapped off the arm that holds them in place. I can't get them out of there. Someone say flux. Indeed, I did say flux. And I've already hydrated. Good evening, Double O Paderborn. How are you this evening? I hope you are well. And welcome back. So again, we're going to just do a quick repair on the brake shoes. Now for these, I'm not quite as convinced by not needing solder. I have a tiny little bit on the edge here I'm going to be using. Good evening, Killian. How are you today? I hope you are well. Just fine. This one's going to be a bit more awkward because it's not snapped on the point that comes off, it's snapped on the face there. Did another Victorian pocket rocket. Excellent. Did you see the comment you got for calling it that on RM Web? Oh, for goodness sake. So couldn't care less. Yep, fair enough. I can't say I blame you. I saw the comment and thought that, well, that's what everyone calls them. It's well known that that's what they're called. Why quibble about it? So we're going to do something to the bottom of these to try and make them not fall off all the time. And that is actually the wire that I'm using here to apply the flux is going to get cut down and make us a bit of brake rigging. If I could see my... There they are. That's what they're called by reputation. Exactly. Don't call the pocket rocket a pocket rocket, but it is. So we'll solder that between there. We're going to have to first tin it with some proper solder, so I'm going to turn the soldering iron up. And GaryBot wants you to remember to smash that like button, folks. And whilst you are down there, if you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you get alerted whenever I go live or upload a video. And all those other good things that YouTube wants me to tell you. It really does help the channel and mean a lot. Good evening, Harry. How are you today? Someone said they shouldn't be called, don't call it a pocket rocket because the new ones are quite good. Which I think was the worst argument ever, personally. Found the comment pretty pointless, isn't it just? I'm quite surprised at who it came from as well, because they don't strike me as the type to normally leave comments like that. Oh no, that went flying. That was silly. But I'm pretty sure I have a reputation for not losing stuff by now, even when it does fly away. And would you know, that reputation seems to continue to be well founded. Well, I know where that landed because I heard it sizzle in the flux. Even though they're quite good, you can still get some speed out of them. Indeed you can. Indeed you can, Luke. I have got a big lump of solder caught on these now. I think that's got it all. £10 to land it in the flux again. That's not happening. That's never happening. Don't mean to be a headache on cheery joking. There was no need to be sorry for that one, TWR modeler. You made it sound like much more aggressive comment. Have to agree, we always been known as a pocket rocket. Sizzle flux. Yeah, no, it wasn't. I was surprised by the comment, especially considering who it came from. That's all it was. So we're going to apply these across here. We're going to turn the soldering iron back down whilst we put the flux on, because then we won't spend quite so long waiting for it. So, how is life outside the quarantine cell these days, everybody? I hope everyone is well. I'm going to bring that back over just in case, but I do have a tiny bit that I'm using at the moment. Been vacuum cleaning today. I must say I do that every Sunday. Because as well as streaming, Sunday is my big housework day. There we go. Look at that, got them in place on their own. Now run out of 18mm masking tape. That's no good, we don't want that. We don't want running out of masking tape. I mean, that went in the lid of the flux. Does that count, Alex? Sunday's your big housework day. When do you do your little housework? Every other day. Having an issue with the layout. Fine, life. It's tolerable. Otherwise, ignore the word fine. Then having chat issues are 5 points for the lid. I'll take my 5 points. And pretend to be happy with only 5 points. So there we are, we have cross bracing between the brakes now. So we'll also put a longitudinal bar down the middle. I don't actually know where the brake gear went off to for the cylinder, so I will just attach the down the middle. And I will do it from underneath when we come to do it. So now that we're working with this wire again, I need to turn the iron back up. And I need the real solder to make sure that's cleaned off. Yes, that is cleaned off. Times like these, we must remember hydration is important. Right, that is the iron heated up. Let's dip both sides of that. Thank you, Alex. Clean the flux off there. And there we have rodding on the brakes. Sitting sufficiently high up that it's not going to catch anything once it's actually on its wheels, which is always nice. Well, once it's actually on the track, that's what I meant to say. Although it might cause issues on my test track with its rail in the middle. But we'll forget about that. It should be okay. That should also make sure these stay a little bit sturdier and don't have quite the same habit of falling off. Success indeed. So as I mentioned earlier, the next thing we want to do to this, let's get the pokey sticks, obviously there is rather a large gap around the bottom of the boiler and the splashers. It's not quite as big on this side. And we will fill that with solder. So we'll just get some flux around where the gap is. Because once the solder's on, it will stay there, it will not crack, it will not shrink. It will not need quite as much time shaping it. And it's a different method I haven't shown you so far. I forgot to turn the iron down again, that was silly. Now we need to wait for the iron to cool down so that we don't melt the model. It would not be the first time we had melted this particular model. For those that weren't here, a few weeks ago we melted the rear buffer beam. It is showing some signs of damage. In fact, I'm not even sure there's a hole for the buffer to go through anymore. That could be a problem. Very fluxtastic live stream this evening. It is, isn't it? But that's how these things work. Oh, look, there's some promotion of my Twitter account. Thank you, chatbot. Your work is very much appreciated. I use glue to hold. No, not good. No, not good at all, Alex. See that? And it was completely my fault. I forgot to turn the soldering iron down, so I was soldering against the white metal at 400 degrees. It was a bit silly. I use glue to hold them up. Glue to hold what up? TWR modeler. Just, I'm never sure on how far back in the chat delay people are. So yes, we now get ourselves a big blob of solder. and get that onto the model around where we need to fill. And of course, thanks to the flux, it is flowing very, very nicely. So just like that, we have no hole there anymore. And again at the front there, so that is the hole all the way down this side fixed. Hello A1, hello Javier, how are we both this evening? It is good to see you. I'm sure you won't be the first to melt one out, I'm sure you won't be the last. Oh, I'm definitely not the first to melt. I'm definitely not the first to melt white. I'm definitely not the first to melt white metal. There we go. Got it out. I can English, honest. Of course, I did. The difference between me and everyone else that melts white metal, Alex, is I did it live on camera so that you don't have to. Doing well. How's you? I mean, in general, I am good. A1. I'm currently on quarantine lockdown, but life goes on. Well, I assume it does. There must be a world outside the quarantine cell. So yes, we flux up the side like that with much flux. Doing alright, can't knock too much. Excellent, Javier. Glad to hear it. Oh, I've dropped a bit down there. That's not good. We'll just melt that over a bit and it will flatten out sufficiently. Quarantine, how much have I missed? I've not actually publicly discussed the fact I'm on quarantine, Alex, but swollen throat, shortness of breath, and potential contact with a confirmed case. So, quarantine. Scary word, that, isn't it? I did mention the quarantine at the start of the stream. I wasn't joking. So now we're going to mop up the flux. So that, oh well, I'll be fine. I shall indeed be fine. So this side is looking really good. I've got a suspicion the other side, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not quite so good. There's a bit too much pulled down the bottom here. But that's okay, because you can take solder back off. That's what the solder sucker's for. Dear me, I'm still hopeful it'll all blow over. Oh, so am I, Killian. I completely agree with our conversation the other day still. Right, this is now way too full of solder. I can't even get it to compress all the way. Right, that bit's stuck. It's still rather stuck. That's helpful, isn't it? There we go, and that's what was blocking it. If I please get Mum to go and just have a pint and wait for all this to blow over. Good excuse to play trains. Oh, if only I work from home. Being stuck here does not lower my workload. There we go. That's looking much better, much more the shape of the splasher now. So that is the holes on there filled, and that is how you fill things with white metal. Solder. That's how you fill things with solder. I do English well, me. So we have our gaps filled. We have our bits repaired. I guess that means it's time for something else. Which I actually wanted to bring this over here for, so give me a second. There we go, just plonk that there, off camera where I can see it. You don't need to worry about what it is. From worse for you, then definitely won't be working from home now. Joys of self-employment, Harry. I don't get days off. I get days where I don't get paid, but I don't get days off. Now, of course, if I could, I would be spraying this all over as the base colour. But I can't. So let's have that historic moment just across the side of the boiler here, where we say, "Isn't she lovely?" Trust me, it is green. I see it looks a bit blue on camera, but it is Chatham green. It is very nice Chatham green. See now, Alex, are you sure you don't want one of these for Aerodrome Park? So there's not much difference in size between it and the C-Class. I mean, obviously, I do know just how tight the C-Class on that run round is, but shush. Chatham green is the best green. Oh, it's a fantastic colour, isn't it? Of course I want one, but I can't be sure it will fit. So it's not much difference in length to my C-Class. There's maybe 1/4 of an inch in it. But as I say, I do remember just how tight that head shunt is on the C-Class. Dear me, come back and you're painting without primer. I am. It really triggers Luke when I do this. If he's still around and able to see what I'm doing, he's probably screaming in agony. I'm sure he does feel physical pain when I paint without primer. Oh, look at that. It's a big bit of flux. Chatham Green Flux. Put my compound in the head shunt and the front wheels were just over the point arms. I don't have a compound to compare it to. Well, I do, but he's got like no wheels and is in pieces. And is the 1980s tender drive model, and I don't know that that's the same length as the more modern one. I am still around and I am witnessing this heresy. Excellent, glad to hear it, Luke. I hope you're enjoying. Touch up this bit where I just put my fingers all over it. It's really clever of me, that was. Yes, I wish I knew the dimensions of the Rails model, but it's the only 440 I own. I mean, dimensionally, it is slightly longer than the C-Class. The C-Class's buffer beam is about level with the front of the smoke box door there. As I say, there's about, give or take, 1/4 of an inch in it. But of course, your problem isn't so much the length of the loco, it's the wheelbase. So, Luke, am I correct about you feeling physical pain when I paint like this without primer? Does it actually hurt you? Not physical pain. Oh, that's a shame. That is a real shame. Not entirely sure these dividers were green, but they're going green now. It's not like I can paint the black on them immediately, or like, until the green's dry anyway. But doesn't that suddenly look amazing if I move it out of my shadow? Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Talking with paintbrushes in mouths is hard. So I'm just going to pop that down there for a second, get these wheels off because they also want painting. Let's see if we can do it without force. Yes, there we go, that's what we like. Anyway, primer has its uses. My K class is painted in primer because, of course, the livery it's in was the red oxide primer from Brighton Works, so I've used red oxide primer to paint it. Because, well, what else would I use? On the C-Class, the divider behind the cab is green on the front, but black on the back, and the rear one is black both sides. Fair enough. I was sure I remember something being green about them. But my one being super low detail has them all in black. So that's those wheels painted, and here we are approaching 10 o'clock. I'd like to remind everyone, hydration is important. Oh, it's away. That's where it is. We of course need the special screwdriver to remove the driving wheels. There we go. That's a bit loose. Let's tighten that. Because if I only have to remove one side, then that is better, because the paint won't have quite such a gap on both sides. Of course, I ideally want a D-Class in SECR livery, so that definitely won't appear on Aerodrome Park. Indeed not. Of course, that means, Alex, you don't have to justify it being able to work the layout. You see? So it doesn't matter if it's too big then, because it can go in your collector case. With your bird cages in front of it, instead of your C-Class. Oh, I've forgotten to do the other end of the axles on these. I mean, I'd really like a second set of bird cages to go with the D-Class so that I can run it with a set of 6 behind it. But that doesn't seem a realistic prospect with the amount they are charging for the second batch. Hang on a second, folks. Right, I'm back. Yeah, I'll likely pre-order one when I can afford to. Excellent. I am glad to hear it, Alex. There'll be a sale at some point, I have no doubt. Oh yes, I quite agree. I saw Rails yesterday tweet that they were in stock for only £72 something a coach. I was like, no. I was pushing it when I ordered them at about 50 quid each. And the fact that these aren't even a new tooling, they are just a second run of the same tooling, of the same livery, I can't justify spending that on them. But wouldn't that look fantastic with a rake of 6 behind it? So obviously you'd have birdcage, composite, birdcage, birdcage, composite, birdcage. Be fantastic. Right. This is going to be the tricky bit, because these wheels aren't going to come out. Yeah, indeed it would. Oh, and all the links are back. Thank you, Alex. That is very much appreciated. You are a fantastic moderator. There we go. So you see, it is possible to paint wheels that are permanently fitted to your model. I mean, it's not easy and I wouldn't recommend it. But it's possible. I just need to touch up a couple of bits on the edge there. And I'm sure I'll need to do the same on the other side. Oh, yes. Debatable. Nope, it's not debatable. No debate is allowed here. Right, and that is the end of the green for now. When you're putting the lid on the back on the paint, you do have to actually put it on the paint. No, I just want everyone to know that. I'm sure there were some who were wondering. Anyway, Alex, you have to be a fantastic mod because it looks like you are the only regular mod. Now. Does help. It does help, yes. But, you know, I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that that was what you're supposed to do. Oh, the pressure. So we want the other Chatham loco colour, which is loco brown, P576. It'd be nice if we could paint this on the body tonight, but we can't. What's happened to Chris, or do we not discuss that here? We do not discuss that here, and we do not have that message here. This is not the place to ask. Brown is best brown. Waiting for that. That's better. Tar Muchley. I mean, personally, I always think of Chatham Loco Brown, as it's called on here, as being more of a red than a brown. But that could just be me. Chatham is best Chatham. But I see it, I've always seen it as more of a maroony red colour than a brown, personally. As I say, that could just be me. I am actually going to take this screw off, you know. Well, thank you for agreeing with me, Luke. I'd say if we both think it is, we're right, and it doesn't matter how many people disagree with us. If you want to ask on Twitter, do so on Twitter, not in chat. Exactly. Exactly, Alex. Oh, there's a cat fight going on outside. And just for a change in this town, it is actually a pair of cats that are fighting. And there we go. Paint is paint is paint. Thank you for deleting that one, Alex. Luke, don't make me put you on a warning. Because, you know, two messages having to be... Sorry, 3 messages having to be deleted now. Channels that would put you on a timeout for less. And if anyone thinks Luke's getting special treatment and stuff, and being allowed to have 3 messages deleted and all that, I mean, you should see the way I treat him the rest of the time. I'm sure I owe him something. I suppose if Brighton call a yellow brown and colour green, Ashford can call their red colour brown. But how do you know that improved engine green isn't referring to the olive that's around the outside of all the panels? Ah, see? See? Brighton knows best. More than happy to time him out, even ban him. I knew you would be. I've just realised I never painted my hook on the back of this. I want it to stick out as little as possible. Also, fun fact, contemporary reports calling it improved engine green are few and far between. I've not had cause to use my ban hammer yet, it hungers. A hungry ban hammer is a good ban hammer. Oh, I've not got the front of this. That's rather awkward. So let's have a look at this logo. I reckon I could get away with painting the frames. So what did the Brighton call it at the time? Just loco livery. Read somewhere Stroudley was colourblind and saw yellow was green. Nope. You have read what a certain president of a certain country would call fake news. I also read that there was a misunderstanding. Nope, misunderstandings would not happen. There was a misunderstanding about the... Oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this. About the umber and cream carriage livery that came after mahogany. And I'm not referring to rails. In that it was erroneously put down in the minutes that they had agreed a different colour, but then was later corrected. But no, there was no misunderstandings. What it meant was an improvement on engine green. That is a possibility, Luke, is that it was an improvement on the engine green that had preceded it, because Craven's engines were indeed green. But yeah, that one is a that one is a possibility. The first one is not. A lot of people say that the Brighton thought they were getting another green livery and named it before they'd seen it. But of course, these people forget that when you were introducing a new livery, you painted a logo in that livery and you presented it to the board for their approval. They knew exactly what they were getting. But in a lot of contemporary sources, it's just locomotive livery or Stroudley livery or other such similar names. It is there is only a couple of places where it is called improved engine green in contemporary reports. It doesn't seem to have become a common term until Gladstone was being painted back in it in preservation. So was there a reason Stroudley changed the livery, or did he just want to? He was putting his mark on the company. CME comes in, changes the livery, puts their mark on it. Obviously not all of them do that. But yeah, that was Stroudley putting his mark on the company. Stroudley wasn't just an engineer, he was an artist. And when it comes to art, colour is important. That may sound like an opinion, but it's not. Stroudley also saw himself as an artist rather than an engineer, and design, and felt the aesthetic was just as important as the performance. Many of the companies changed liveries during the Victorian era, so many of them were various shades of green in the early days. There were a lot of shades of green in the early days. MR and LNWR were green as well, for example. They were indeed. I've seen it described as orange by a certain model railway retailer. As have I. Weren't all CME's artists? No. Just no, Luke. A lot of CMEs had very little to do with the design of things on their railway, which is fine. That's a perfectly reasonable way to be a CME. You don't need to be hands-on designing everything. You're in charge. You're not necessarily the one doing the work. Apart from the CMEs at Swindon. Becca, you still about? Luke's insulting Swindon. Callie's one of the rare companies that kept basically the same livery through its life. The logos were light blue in the early days, too, as far as I know. Yes, I believe you are correct in that. I mean, the South Eastern and Chatham didn't change livery much throughout its entire existence. The fact it only existed for 23 years is not the point. Oh yeah, I was meant to do some work on those buffer beams before painting them. Up the back there. Never mind, it's done now. The chief draftsman was often the most important person in designing locos. Indeed, hang on a second everyone. That is very true, Mr. Alex. Hydration is important. I find LSWRP green be a weird choice of livery. Yes, so do I. So do I. Of course, saying about the chief draftsman being the key designer, this is where you can see that Stroudley was hands-on with his designs, because it doesn't matter what works he was at designing locomotives. You look across his entire career, and there is a family resemblance amongst every loco he ever had a hand in. Must go, work tomorrow, and I'm 1 hour ahead of you. All the best, and keep hydrated. Okay, thank you for popping by, Double O Paderborn. Has been great to have you here. Enjoy work tomorrow, sleep well. I hope to see you again next week. SWR Royal Green lined with chocolate and brown was gorgeous. It was, Alex. Don't get why the livery was so light. Wouldn't just get spoiled by soot and ash. You would expect so, yes. Nice SECR green. Thank you very much. I would love to take the credit, but of course this is Phoenix Precision's Chatham green. They're much better at it than me. I just attack it with a brush. In this case bristle, but usually air. I always wonder why the Brighton painted cab roof white. That would get filthy super quickly. Yeah, I very much agree on that front. It was an odd choice, that, but I'm sure Stroudley had his reasons. It certainly looks good, but it's not something I'd have chosen. And in fact, had I have been one of the members of the board inspecting the livery, I'd have turned around and said, I want to see that with a black cab roof, because it's going to look like that in a week. And there we are. I've returned from the aerosol void. Colours looking good. Thank you, James. I am very happy with it. Gary, you haven't asked if anyone's working on anything. Well, in that case, Luke, is anyone working on anything this evening? Do we have any projects on the go? Are you working on something? He is, James. He's working on his layout. Did I spoil your reveal, Luke? Been spray painting in 2 scales. Excellent. First time logo into the tunnel. Goodbye, white roof. Exactly, Alex. I was, but I need another set of points. So is your asking getting me to tell? So was my spoiling your reveal a bit pointless then, Luke? See what I did there? See what I did there? Wasn't really going to be a big reveal, so no. Well, that's a shame. Hi, Lid. I'm painting some of my locomotives into fictional railways livery, OH and SR red. So OH and SR is... I'm sure you've told us before. I have a good idea of what it is, but I can't remember. Just need to press some buttons on the laptop quickly. There we go. I had the YouTube chat box selected, and my keypad that mutes the microphone, as an example, is actually a number pad. So when I was tapping buttons on there, I was typing into the chat box, and I didn't want to accidentally press enter and send you a load of random numbers in chat, because you would have all thought I was insane. There's a good reason for that. Oakfield, Henforth and Stonefield Railway. Aha. Dual radius double streamline. In fact, I need 2 SL92s. Well, Luke, you would... you'd best get some bought then. In a mad world, only the mad are sane. Indeed, James. Indeed. So... we've done some minor repairs. We've done some painting. That must mean it's time for something else. Oh, it's more, wasn't it? I put in the title. See, I do know what I've written. Honest. I have a big selection of things here. What are you made of? Oh look, white metal. We don't have enough of that already. Oh, that's my more unfortunate C-class. Stuff like, well, I haven't been modelling. Been looking up dual gauge track. Motor fitting as a... No, look, I can't fit the motor to a chassis that is, well, wet with paint. Got a nice white metal wagon though. Oh, the chatbot says hydration is important, and my hydration vessel is empty, so I'd best fill it up. I mean, the motor did get briefly fitted to the D-Class chassis earlier, so it's not like it hasn't been done already this evening. But remember, kids, hydration is important. And that's some good hydration. Why do I say things that I know are going to get songs stuck in my head? Why do I do it? It's not like I can... Ouch. It's not like I can hum these things, because copyright. Ooh, generic yellow fizzy liquid. Ah, generic sugar-free yellow fizzy liquid, Luke. Because you're a numpty. That's the one, James. That is the one. Just have to make references to back music instead. Someone would still probably try and copyright claim against me, James. Actually, the only stuff that is safe to use is what's in YouTube's music library, because it's automatically filtered against the copyright system to say, no, we know that song's fine. Have your supplies of generic black fizzy liquid run dry? Well, Luke, in all honesty, the generic black sugar-free liquid is no longer on special offer in Tesco. Whereas the orange stuff costs the same as the black stuff when it's on offer. Some classical music is copyright even out of copyright. Indeed it does. Indeed it does. There's some very silly copyright claims go on. I mean, next someone will be trying to copyright claim against the last post or something. Intellectual property is fundamentally abusive, ought to be abolished immediately. I believe I've expressed my opinions on copyright before in the past. It's definitely broken. Good evening, Linny. How are you this evening? I hope you are well. I hope the show was good. We had Richard by earlier, said he had a great time. And I hope you did too. Also said he spent way too much. Yes, wouldn't that be mad? It would, Alex. It would be absolutely insane. Especially if it was on a memorial stream or something that they did it on. I couldn't imagine it ever actually happening. Finding the door from Glasgow show, very, very tired. Yes, I bet you are. Did I read somewhere that Discord messages are copyrighted, or did I make that up? Welcome to the Discord link. Thank you, Luke. Everything you type is copyrighted. There is no Discord popcorn, unfortunately. Just regular popcorn for celebrating my victory. God, that was fun. So yes, we're going to make a wagon. We're going to make it good. And that's the end of that before someone copyright strikes me for The Simpsons, even though I changed the lyrics, making it a parody. But there we go, it'll happen. System would have to be super broken. It would, Alex. I can't even begin to imagine how broken it would have to be for someone to be able to do that. Oh, now that's stuck in my head. Gosh darn it, Gary, why do you do these things to yourself? Before we do anything, we're going to get some couplings over here, and we're going to make sure the hooks fit. There's my open pack of spares. Are we then going to paint your wagon? Exactly, Linny. Exactly. You know, it's only recently I found out that that's a real song. A real film. Okay, enough now, James. We all agree on the absurdity of copyright, trust me. You are preaching to the choir. So a parody is copyrighted to the original owner of the people who did the parody. Parodies are copyrighted to the creator of the parody. The best example of this would be, of course, Weird Al Yankovic, who, although Weird Al does always seek permission from the artist he is parodying, most of whom are flattered by the fact Weird Al would want to parody them. There used to be a thing in the music industry where you would say that you couldn't say you'd made it as an artist until Weird Al did a parody of you. But there have been instances in the past where messages have got mixed up and he has parodied people that have not given permission. But because parodies are exempt from copyright and they are an original work of the person doing the parody, it really doesn't actually make a difference. A good example of this would be Amish Paradise, his parody of Coolio's Gangster Paradise, where Weird Al believed he had got Coolio's blessing, but it turned out he didn't. The man is a true legend, indeed. Indeed he is. And a parody artist that I'm safe to mention on a PG live stream. Unlike the other parody music I listen to. His hilarity. Yes. Need to know more about this. How do you not know about Weird Al Yankovic? My God, Luke. It's not like it's an old reference. Yes, he's been making music since the 80s, but he's still making it now. I have his entire library. He's amazing. He's also very, very anti-copyright, evidently. He once did a song about how anti-copyright he is, called Don't Download This Song, which he uploaded to his MySpace page as a free download. Been some weird examples of people trying to copyright things. Indeed. Do particularly like Amish Paradise and Eat It. They are brilliant, aren't they, James? They are absolutely fantastic songs. Michael Jackson, evidently, huge fan of him. Hence why Michael Jackson got parodied twice. Seems like a very sensible chap indeed. He is. Well, that's soldering well, isn't it? Quite amusingly, as an example of the whole "you haven't made it till Weird Al parodies you" thing, when he approached Nirvana to do a parody of "Smells Like Teen Spirit," Kurt Cobain turned around and said, "Oh my God, you know who we are." He also then asked if he was going to write a parody song about food. And was told no. I want to write one about how no one can understand a word you say.